I can't do this, I'm sorry, yeah. Can't do that either. I only work for meters squared. Yeah, we can work it out later, but it's, obviously you can see it's more than doubling. Yeah. But this will be experts making this decision with access to the same information that have decided that in one country the animals are to be given double this space. So they're the same species. But India wins. This is good. Okay, so the situation of licensing in zoos in the UK, we have a requirement for inspection. On an annual basis, zoos are inspected by their local authority. But that's an informal inspection, so it doesn't necessarily have the detail or the level of inspection, the formal inspections that occur. And they happen only every 3 to 4 years by a government-appointed inspector. But they're the ones that matter. They're the ones that decide whether or not that zoo continues to be licensed or whether it should be shut down. I should say that in my experience and in recent history, no zoo has been shut down as inspection, despite, in my opinion, many zoos needing to be shut down as inspection.
How many elephants do you have?
Elephants, we're around 60 to 70 at the moment. We're about the same number as the zoos. Yeah, about the same. There were about 10 more, 15 more a few years ago, but there was a bit of a cull, one might say. Okay, sorry about this being very small, but I want just to make a point. The inspection, I want to talk about the inspection process because it's integral to making sure that the welfare of animals in zoos is good. Okay? So, the zoo inspectors, the government-appointed zoo inspectors who visit every 3 to 4 years, they report on a standardised form. Okay? And they look at 47 animal welfare criteria across the whole zoo. And those criteria are grouped loosely into the 5 freedoms. Do you know what I mean by the 5 freedoms? So this is one of them. There are 3 questions in this section. Are animals handled only by or under the supervision of appropriate experienced staff? Yes, no, not applicable, and a section for no. It sounds reasonable, but this section applies to the whole zoo. I don't know if any of you have been to zoos in the UK, London Zoo, Chester Zoo, they're enormous. And yet they're expected to answer, are all the animals handled appropriately, yes or no? It's a ridiculous system, absolutely ridiculous. So, this is how they are recording their observations. So, what we thought would be quite interesting to do is have a look at these forms. And decided to do an investigation of what the welfare standards are in the British Zoo based on the reports of government-appointed zoo inspectors. It's no good us going around zoos and saying the welfare is bad because they're going to certainly will say that. You're from an animal welfare organisation. So let's take the inspectors at their word. So we found out that these inspectors' reports were not being submitted centrally, unfortunately, because we have no central zoo authority like we have in India. So what we did, under our Freedom of Information Act, which is similar, and I want to make you note this, that India has a Right to Information Act, very, very similar. You can request information from public bodies. So under our Freedom of Information Act, requests were sent to all our local authorities copies of the most recent zoo inspection report by a government-appointed zoo inspector in the zoo net constituency. And we ended up with reports from 192 of our zoos, so most of the zoos in the country. And we went back through them and looked at what the inspectors were saying. If you're technically minded and interested, I published this just recently with my PhD supervisor. That's free online availability if you want to search it out. This study is written up in some very gory detail. Okay, and here's what we found. This is just a very quick overview. To explain, the green is where, this is all zoos lumped together. The green is where zoos are meeting the standards, are being judged by the inspectors to meet the standards. And each of these are the 5 freedoms, and that is overall. The orange is where they've scored badly on just one criteria, and the red is on more than one criteria. So basically anything that isn't green, alarm bells should be ringing. Okay? So the only one in my view that zoos seem to be doing okay, or maybe the 2, is the provision of an opportunity to express most normal behaviour and protection from fear and distress. Zoos generally seem to be doing okay on those criteria. On this one, provision of animal health care, is that about 35% of zoos are meeting the standard. That's it. 35%. And that's, what did I say, 1984, the legislation very surprised to see this in my view. I make this point because I think you could do something similar in India. Just to look at the individual questions that were being asked, we'll see if anything in red relates to the healthcare of the animals. They're not doing very well on healthcare. So it's all about veterinary care systems and post-mortem exams being carried out and all the rest of it. I won't go into the detail, but you get down to the point. So 24% assessors meeting all the animal welfare standards. 47% of these were assessed as not meeting 2 or more of the 47 criteria. Oh, sorry, of the criteria related to animal healthcare. So nearly a quarter of zoos didn't have a suitable program of preventative and curative veterinary care. This is the UK, it's the 21st century, and our zoos are not doing this. A quarter of zoos were not assessed as meeting, not meeting 1 or more of the standards related to the provision of food and water. This is crazy. And this is where I think things are very interesting. One of the inspectors are asked to comment on whether the conditions applied at the previous inspection. So they don't meet the conditions at one inspection. They ask the zoo that you've got to meet the standard at this particular point within a certain time period, and that's called a condition. The ones I was looking at refer to the previous inspection records, and in a quarter of cases the conditions that have been requested were not being complied with 3 or 4 years later. Terrible. I think you get the impression I'm not very happy. And statistically we show this, that farm parks and bird collections in particular appear to be performing worse. We thought that was an important thing to look at, what types of zoo were doing better than others, because it might mean that particular attention is being paid to certain types of zoo. And one zoo was assessed as failing to meet nearly half of all the animal welfare standards. And again, I reiterate, they were all re-licensed. So even though that zoo was failing on nearly half of the points, the inspector said, I think they should be re-licensed on condition they do the following things. But then they walk away and go home, and the zoos let them carry on. So, one last point, and I'm not sure if this applies to you, whether there is an association of zoos or an accreditation body for zoos apart from the CZA. In Britain we have the British Norwich Zoo Association, which is a membership organisation, it's a voluntary membership organisation that supposedly the better zoos are encouraged to join. This graph's actually the wrong way around, so the lower the column, the better they're doing. And actually, it did show that the zoos that were in this membership organisation were generally performing better on actually every point and overall than the ones that weren't. So there's an argument there for maybe zoos getting together and exchanging information, sharing standards, whatever it might be. 40% of zoos in the early ones didn't have an ethical review process, which is a legal requirement. And I've already covered that point. Just quickly to touch on some of the problems with the inspection process. What's that? Only one inspection was carried out over more than 1 day. Everything else was less than a day. Again, going back to the size of the zoo we're talking about, we're talking 1, maybe 2 inspectors walking around London Zoo, Chester Zoo, and apparently inspecting every animal. No, it doesn't happen. 59 different inspection teams. No method of making sure that they're looking at things in the same way. If you had 1 inspector, it would be unbiased. You have 59 different inspection teams, and they're not necessarily assessed to see whether they're looking at things in the same way. The process is basically meaningless. 11% of inspections were failing the number of inspectors that were supposed to have. They're offered the chance of using an optional scoring system. Basically, if they are meeting the standards, is it because they're excellent, or is it because they're anything down to barely adequate? They only use it in 38% of cases, so it's kind of redundant as a system. We wanted to see whether having a vet versus not having a vet as part of the inspection team made any difference. Maybe reassuring, I don't know. Very quickly, so the problem, it's less than a day every 3 to 4 years for the zoos are being inspected. That's just the yes or no question I've already touched on. It's ridiculous. We have also this situation where inspectors were marking yes, but then in a notes box saying but. So let's say, are the enclosures adequate? Yes. But the rhino, the lion, and the jaguar enclosures all need to be rebuilt. So we know there, yes, but. Yeah. And this due to the fact that the inspector is being asked to comment on every animal in the zoo, and it could be tens of thousands. And they're saying yes. Is each animal provided with the highest standard possible? Yes. Do all animals bring good health? It's bad questioning. Inspectors need to make it clear what they're looking at. Are they looking at a sample of the animals? Are they looking at every third enclosure? Are they looking at every 10th animal? Unless they declare this, we don't know what they're looking at. So they're just answering, yeah, generally everything looks alright. Maybe we need to reserve the reliabilities. That's not very relevant. I should just say one thing, it's slightly technical. If you look at the questions that were being asked, they all look at resources. They all look at how much space does the animal get? Does the animal have enough space? Does it have enough food? Does it have the right food? All these things are resource provisioning for the animals. Does it look at welfare outcome of the animal? I.e., is the animal behaving normally? Is its health good? Things that, so we're looking at, food and how much space and all the rest of it. That's important. But what's more important is to see how the animal is coping with its environment. And unless they do that, I think only one question they're asked looks at that animal, and that's not enough. One very interesting point, and this is something we maybe can touch on in the discussion. The inspectors are also asked to look at conservation participation in each zoo. And just to explain this graph, this is the number of conservation activities they participate in, the number of the main conservation activities, and this is the number of welfare problems. So actually what's interesting is you see, and this is statistically significant, if they're not doing any conservation, they're tending to have more welfare problems than the zoos that are doing lots of conservation. So again, it doesn't really mean very much, it just could be an indication that better resourced zoos are better for welfare and better for conservation. If that you could say that they do any conservation. So, how is this affecting it? Well, I suspect, and I haven't had time to really go into this in detail discussing this today, and this is why I hope you can tell me. Something similar to be done in India, I think. You have a right to Information Act. You have a central zoo authority. Inspections are carried out of zoos in India using a similar form to what we have in the UK. Slightly different. There might be something to do there. There's always the option of doing system scientists, as you can't, as it was explained, using, going to see elephants in zoos. Obviously, it's hugely labour intensive, but there's nothing to stop somebody going, or an organisation going to zoos around India, using the existing legislation, using the norms and standards, and identifying where you think the problems lie, and complaining specifically to the zoos there. That's another option. And also, I would recommend, because this is where zoos are going globally, they are very much concentrating on conservation being their message, conservation being their raison d'etre, their purpose. I firmly question whether zoos have any right to conservation, but it's becoming common currency. And I would strongly suggest to looking at zoos, not only look at welfare, but really get into grips with whether they are doing anything. Are they really reintroducing any species to the wild? What are they really doing in terms of education? Just opening the doors to the public is not education. And what are they doing in terms of funding for conservation? This is the angle in the UK in particular that has become very common. They admit that they're not really introducing animals to the wild, but they say that they're raising funds for conservation. When you look at it, and at the charity zoos in the UK, so zoos that have charity status, they give about between 4 and 7% of their annual income to field conservation. Nothing more, 4 to 7%. Okay, so discussion points I hope might be useful, may or may not be. I have said plenty on FIOBO, it could be any other group here. What does FIOBO want to do about zoos? Do you want better zoos? Do you want fewer zoos? Do you want no zoos? Or any combination of those things? What are the conditions like in zoos in India? Are the standards high enough? I think that's the important thing. It's all very well assessing things against the standard, but if the standards are no good, then it's pointless. Is the assessment and the enforcement of those standards up to scratch? Is the system of inspections that do that? And if it is, are the zoos complying? If they're told to improve, are they actually improving? And then what happens if they're not complying? Are the zoos being shut down, or are they being left to just roll along as they are? But also to take into account that unfortunately, in my view, zoos can claim a value, and that value is being increasingly recognised in conservation and education, partly in research. Zoos claim to know about animal welfare, whereas in my view, the only real point that they have, and it's a very dubious point, is entertainment. So we need to offset that against anything we want to do about it. And I suggest, unless it's yeah, I think that's a good point for me to stop. And then if there's time to touch on the dolphin area thing, is that what else does that sound? Yeah? Okay, I'll stop at that point and say a little.
Any questions? Ask all the questions.
So I've answered it. Sometimes go back.
Yes, please. Can I just go? Yes, since we have a shorter time. Yes. Increasingly, especially since you discuss elephants in detail so far now, what we see in urban areas, I come from Mumbai, which is rather complicated city. It's become more congested over the years, and we have this constant tussle with our forest department or our wildlife wardens on the allowance of animals like elephants into civilian areas. And there are laws which disallow them, and over the last 6 months, my personal struggle with the wildlife department has been to have them point out those laws to me which exist, so that we can take those laws to a fox station, get the marmot and the elephant out. The strange thing is the wildlife department takes no onus for the elephant. They say the elephant is a wild animal, we are the wildlife department, we don't know what to do with it. It's too large. One man pick up the phone and say, it's really big, you know. I mean, it's an elephant. What do you expect? And then he says, what am I supposed to do with it? I said, you make the law.
I've heard this everywhere. We have this in the UK. We have a situation where elephants needed to be confiscated from a circus.
Exactly.
They couldn't because no one could touch it.
No, there was an elephant below my house. And he couldn't take a U-turn because I'm in a narrow lane where the cars can't squeeze themselves in. And he was stuck. He couldn't go back. He could only go front, which means he would have to go through a market, like Andheri station. It had 1.5 lakh passengers transiting to that station every hour. In Russia, and there was an elephant in the middle.
See, in Mumbai, what has happened is every time that they have confiscated an elephant,
It has not done.
the mammoth, what he does is ties it under the police station and he runs away. And the police are so petrified of the situation because they don't know how to handle it.
The wildlife department does this.
The wildlife department of Maharashtra does not have any expertise with captive elephants. Now, if it was Karnataka or Tamil Nadu or somewhere, they would send the mammoths over. So, Nakui, your chief wildlife warden, he has to be told to keep 2-3 mammoths under his payment and keep a budget for them.
So, you
to manage
that's the lacunate.
That's one of the lacunate. And the second lacunate is these elephants don't have a scrap of paper. No issue certificate, nothing.
There are no
nothing.
paperwork for any animal.
They are very much the masters of their empire, they don't care a damn for anyone. So they do what they wish with the animal. So either we have really strong departmental control or NGO control, that NGOs have the strength, have the capacity to enforce. 2-3 mammoths over, capture the elephants, put it at someone's farm, and tell nothing. We are doing the needful since you come. And this is really going very far. So that's the only way. We are now later on top. And your office itself has severe issues about it. And we are wanting to close down, but Bombay is putting the emotional backpack. It has been such a long time, 500 years or 300 years old, and it's the only thing that Bombay has. We even cry so much that the same thing is recognition. But now it is now. No, the oldest was the worst. Alipur was the worst.
Alipur is the worst. Jigawanga is the worst.
Yeah, and Kannur is the worst. All corporations we are really need.
All those done by corporations are bad.
Why? Because they are corporations. No, not all. These particular Maharashtra ones. So I I don't know what to say except the solution.
We need to create either
need to
create the manpower and the resources to not only confiscate but to sustain that animal during its rehab phase
Process.
Yeah, because that is what is really crucial. Once an animal gets picked up, it's not a dog. I can't bring it home and put it in my house. It's easy for me to do it with birds.
Sure. I think with elephants, you're dealing with a finite population. It's doable. So on an individual basis, although it's a huge problem, it would be sensible to try and take
create a
case
protocol.
And we were discussing yesterday the hope of there being established rescue centres for elephants that are going to be able to take it. They're not going to take all.
I wanted to ask you, you had the idea of somebody in Bangalore, in Maharashtra was trying for a rescue center with the government. Did it come to anything?
Yeah, that was Vivian. She was trying to.
Vivian, yes.
No, it hasn't come out of anything.
Because they had gone into many consultations with the minister and with the coordinator. There was one team that was
So what they've done is it's reached a point where they had accepted paperwork and they were playing ping pong, table tennis with us. So we were shunted from the collector. Again, we have several layers of democracy and bureaucracy. Yeah, you are. And we inherited a lot of it from our friends and relatives. So the collector has lands under him, so does the civic body, so does the environment ministry. So the environment minister pushed me and Chakra to the collector, saying that since he is in your region and you have specific requirements for characteristics of the land feature. Because we told him we already identified areas with water bodies, with shade and rainfall and blah 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 blah, mangroves, because we wanted to be close to no development zones. We didn't want to be in our zones. There was a lot of technicality. He just shot us at the collector, and now it's been what? It's been over 2 months, and we're waiting for an audience from him again because the collector bought a couple of parcels of land.
The district magistrate.
Both. The
Okay,
district, the CM and the DCs. They work sort of together. And they bought a couple of land parcels of varying sizes. I think it's a matter of time before we figure out if we are really handed those over on a page or are they going to expect some compensation. Because I don't think they are willing to part the work of this free of cost. What they are doing is they are bringing those private lands which they have confiscated under urban land scheme. So what that does is they are at the receiving end from the original landowner. So if I am able to put up a donor or a house or a national body or international body who may be, who is going to fund a small, what they call a lease premium or a one-time fee that can be paid. What is it? It varies. So primarily it can be an obscene number, it can be a nominal number. In some cases it's 1 crore, in some cases it's 3 crores, in some cases it's more, because they are looking to take at least a portion of the commercial value of the land, because Bombay is plot for space, like London is. The city of London as you go to the outskirts, leases become cheaper, staying becomes cheaper. If you're in the city of London, you're not driving a certain day, you can't bring your cars into the city. So Bombay has similar issues. So, and we don't want to go too far from infrastructure.
No. It's a balance.
And what is the acreage you're looking at?
We're looking at these costs for minimum of 15 acres to begin with, because we'll start exploiting maybe an acre every year.
Yeah.
Because we need to create a sort of hump stock to service and build infrastructure over maybe the next 5 years or 6 years. So I think it's very difficult to work with the government. They have the largest amount of land under their control, but they would rather give it for commercial exploitation than for environmental ventures or welfare ventures. So we told them this is not going to be, and the point we raised on conservation versus entertainment. So the minute we tell them it's a conservation effort and that this is not, the first question Patakra asked me in Hindi, I'm translating it, will you be keeping dogs and cats there? I hope you're not going to turn it into a bloody shelter. They don't want
So they're looking at conservation, mangroves, elephants,
Yeah,
it's all falling in.
Yeah, they want it to be pure large animal rescue.
So maybe you're already doing well.
I mean, we made headway to that one, but you know how they travel a lot. Politicians traveling. They don't want to meet you. They're in some agitation in Nagpur. They're in Parliament. They're in the winter session. In the monsoons, they're in the winter session. In the winters, they're in the autumn session. So we are still getting. And then the son gets married or someone gets sick. So we are making some headway. We have a report. So
you need to speak their language in terms of conservation. If that's all they're interested in,
they don't understand.
Just change it.
That's what we've done.
It doesn't change what you're actually going to do, but you just present it in a different way.
Yet
Bombay needs an educated
on PNS, PHNS.
Well, I have a couple of questions. I basically from Kerala and I've grown up around my things like that. Very interesting with the very outside. And I recently interned with the Malay elephant rescue and things like that. So I have a question, since you are dealing with elephants, I have this particular question. Sometime back there was this news about numbering elephants. Licensing elephants, yes. Licensing elephants.
Microchip and license are different. Microchip is only for identification, but it doesn't make it too illegal owner. It only means that the animal is tagged, and then at that too, the departments own that breeder. Only then you can. At the time, there is no breeder available.
And
But that doesn't make you an owner.
You painted a better picture about the forest camps and things like that. But I was there
Only better because in relation to what is existing.
Is existing, okay, but I was there for almost a month and I came into very close contact with 1-year-old elephant. And I don't know, I mean, he's partially blind, with one eye, breastfeed elephant, yes. And I don't think
I tell you something, the forest camps are dependent on the officers that are taking charge of it. Now, officers are constantly being changed. So we had Dr. Kalaivanan in charge of Malay camp.
Yes.
He was extremely sensitive to the needs of the animals. Kalaivanan has left the department, joined combat animal husbandry, which is the way first problem forest camps face.
That's what's happening with
All our zoos or everywhere the doctors get trained and they go back to their parent department. Moment Kalaivanan went into a jail. But I'm telling you to look at it in relation with all the other issues that we have, which is, the zoo elephants, the temple elephants, the circus elephants, the private ownership. There, among these 5-7 management regimes, still forest camp would be the best. They are in a forest. They are not here. They have river, they have each other, they have the forest, and they have natural conditions much of the time. They go grazing, they go foraging. Yes, some animals may be tied, that's why there are variations. When we did our grading system for elephants, 1,200 elephants, we did in 14 states of India with the help of all the NGOs of India, and there we found variations in pattern, even in forest camp. Within a parameter, if you are walking, anything which is considered a little difficult or violent is tied up more than the others. So within the parameter of walking, there are variations. So you may get for walking, yes, so 10 out of 10. For city elephants, 0 because they are walking on surface like concrete. Or the kilometer they walk is half a kilometer. But you still will get 10 divided by 3 and you get your rating on that. So that's the way grading is done. So you will get a reasonable idea of each management regime. In that reading, forest camps emerged as 5.5.
Yeah, what I'm trying to point out is
that is not the best.
Yeah, no, city elephants as such, one is able to see them, I mean, we come into contact, but I had to push here and there, just go, get to the thing, and even the camp, being shut down, and the public is rolled out of the last of the camp. But again, these animals are, inside a government body which I don't think is accessible to a lot of people, and the way the elephant was housed in a room which is, let's say, 4 feet, and what day and night keeps, circling around.
So you don't have the public scrutiny that you would have to.
Definitely, yes. So you should private elephant. A private guy who needs to make money will bring his elephant outside, and that's when we see, okay, the elephant is not profitable. What is not going to these elephants?
Who is regulating the camps and what is saying?
Okay, if you are talking of regulation, camps is done by the DFO
feet.
Yes, it's bad. So that's where public has to come in. If they're serious about making changes, they will go to the DFO. If you find you're being blocked by the DFO, go to the chief wildlife. They will have to, they cannot say go to door. It will not be a public place because it's not the same. So, but if you want very special interest, we got permissions for our studies. They allowed us access everywhere. But we didn't go to, we went to government, but we are not a government body. Neither is ANCF. But we included the forest department as a part of whatever everywhere they have their, in all our publications. Forest department is a part of it because they gave us the permissions. So if you are a serious researcher or viewer, you would be, I'm sure, have to be given access. Otherwise you can take them to task. We pay our taxes for them. You have every right to see that. They cannot say no. But they may not want to. If you go in casually, other visitors also want to go in casually. And it becomes there you have
we are on our second appeal with the forest department now. There is a CCF in Mumbai, and the first time I sent him a question about what do I do when I see an elephant walking in my city. He sent me a list of vacancies that the forest department had advertised for. He said it was a slip-off, it was an administrative slip-off. I shouldn't have received the information, but it was someone else's RTI that I got responded to. Finally, he sent my request to the other department, which is the sister department that you know about, which is the Borivali National Park Conservator. Because there are two conservators, there's a Mumbai and there's a Thane. Yeah, there's a Borivali South and a Thane South. Finally, after 2 months, I got a call saying that after the second appeal and a lot of thinking letters to Kapitra, me,
about what you do when you see an elephant.
and also why I received a list of vacancies and I'm not looking for a job. But I get fully employed individual, I don't need a job like this. I just want to work with the damn elephant. And now they call me to come and meet with them face to face because they feel my queries cannot be responded to on paper.
But it shows, and this was
That's the reason
request on the right to information, yeah?
Yes, this is going to be RTI process.
But it shows,
You need to
Did you get letters saying they cannot give you this
Yes.
information on paper?
Yes.
Then send this to the project director. We do this bombard in Delhi.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we've done.
Mr. Singh.
Yeah, exactly.
You can bring him up and say, Mr. Singh is a young guy, nice guy.
And then the RFO calls
He's a little overwhelmed already with all the problems. So he can come and
he
say,
calls and says that, oh, can you come and meet us? I mean, why can't we resolve this case? They want an amicable settlement. Sorry?
what is this? Actually, yes.
Educators stop sending to this. Let's not get to that.
Yeah. My question for you, not a question, just as, I was just thinking, even in the UK, you rated animal husbandry, healthcare, and enrichment as a basic problem where, poor standards were met. In India, that's going to be every country. But the problem that I see, like, I am a veterinarian from Bombay, and I've been working with NGOs, doing zoo surveys and things like that. What I see most through vets, you have an exam over here.
Yeah.
So basically they are thrown into this course and they are suddenly Alice in Wonderland.
Oh,
but they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it could be a body which is training them, because they have to be trained, because how to maintain happiness.
So they take their basic vets.
Basically, does nothing.
And then that's it.
They does nothing.
They don't do vets. They want to be a zoo vet.
If you want to know more, you take a
Oh, I see. Whether you want to or not.
When I was studying, I used to help the zoo vet in the city that I was. There was a leopard that was rescued a cow. He didn't know how to do an IV. I used to help him out with snakes and all, but he was nice enough to admit he didn't know and
No,
he needed help.
that is a huge problem, even in the UK. With no offence to any veterinarians in the room, the assumption that vets know everything is a problem globally. And getting vets to admit when they don't know something is very difficult. What we do have in the UK is, and I think this is common across Europe, there are specialisms that require subsequent examinations in exotic animal medicine and zoo animal. For some reason, there's exotic animal medicine and zoo animal medicine are two separate things, it's very odd. And you would be expected, although not required, you would be expected to have that specialism if you were a zoo vet. I will just say in the UK, not many zoos have their own vet on site. They use and sometimes those on-call vets are the same safeguard small animals and don't have any. So it's not just a problem in but this would be a question very easy to bring up whatever you must have well, CZA, but also using association or something.
Veterinary council. What I've seen is like I was volunteering as a teaching in the US.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying for big dogs. They have a
so
meeting every
in the
morning.
US they have a big specialism in
That's what technicians, you have a person who's responsible for every enclosure, who is on the direction every morning. I saw this, I didn't see this. So they discuss it and the vet sits and we check it properly. So we don't have anything like that.
What you just described is not rocket science, is it?
It is
It's
not.
very easy to
So somebody has to probably implement it or make it like this.
So that would be a CZA thing to get that.
I think that somewhere along the line, we need to have a small team of people who do not involve themselves with 100 things. So you have everybody running around for street animals, running shelters, doing this, doing that, and then everybody uses that focus, which is required. A small team with an informal, formal approach, let's put it like this, who just concentrate on this consistently for the next 2 years, many problems can be resolved and taken to a higher level.
Without wanting to take on a huge amount more work, do draw on, I wouldn't say maybe expertise from overseas. All I do, my only job is to look at captive animal welfare. I'm lucky I don't have to focus on street dogs, I don't run a shelter, I don't do anything else. I look after my own 2 dogs. So do contact Born Free, contact me. If I can't answer, I'll put you in touch with another NGO. Whisper are very good. But we're there, we have experience on just these issues and we sometimes know which buttons to press as well. So it's, we're there for the supporting really.
My question is, like you said, one person check, so even if you pay the government, you're practically checking what people are doing. Start something like that, I don't think it's going to take a long process. But how do you, how do you your team, what is
This is something to you. I mean, this is all, it's like a white idea. You can say that God can decide all I handle welfare, so knows everything. If Chris agrees to be the point person for zoo issues, and we have simple things like an RTI application. Let's have somebody here take that only RTI application, nothing else. That application is rolled in. Then we look at a researcher who would like to give us some part of his time to sit and analyze and to be guiding him how to analyze, make the drafts, make this, make that. In the meantime, we go on to the next step. What is that? We have a brainstorming, internet, electronic. I don't think anybody will have time to travel again anywhere and decide, all right, this team, what is the next step? How do we want to present it? Do they want to give a presentation to CZA on their findings, which is based on CZA's own papers, but it is being looked at now with fresh experts, and we will get in some experts, we will get in some experts, biologists, Indian and British experts, look at this and tell CZA this is how we expect to do. Otherwise the threat is there. We go on a national campaign to embarrass you.
That's what I'm asking you. Food check in India, something parallel to food check in India is going to basically be shut down, right? And not going to be
and we
not able to come across.
And we present with statistics.
Strategy planning first. The gut reaction would be standing outside the zoo gates with a black collar, right? This isn't going to work. This is not going to work in any country as far as I'm aware.
It will work only this background.
Exactly. And really strategic thinking, and don't expect things to happen. That is so frustrating. It's a constant source of frustration for all of us. But using the legislation and the government is, I wouldn't say it's a quick way, but it's the only way of assuring change in all zoos. You can focus on one zoo and you can spend the rest of your life trying to improve gradually things in that zoo. Whereas if you go to the top, you can then make a law that says all zoos must do the following. If that zoo is not doing 180 license, so it's 450 minus 280. I can't do maths.
The others are
They're all licensed. No, they're operational. They're not licensed.
They are still operational.
There's also the same Pondicherry is running a soup. It's not licensed.
Right. So it's
Getting
plans, operations, capture strategy.
It's not like
Getting
and it's going to different zoos which are better spaces or interesting centers. Where is it going to bear? Somebody will go there, but there's there are something something that can be.
I think it's always not.
Okay, done.
I think it's a dolphin area, but if anyone is concerned about the threat of dolphin area, come and talk to me.
Dolphin area, anybody wants to know, our session is over. But
thank you, Scott.
but I would like to hear, if anybody wishes, they are welcome.
Yeah, I'll